Alright, this is the first video of 2019, so I just want to go for it. Do you all think that in 2019, Facebook's kind of on a decline, like MySpace? There's been a lot of controversies on that platform. There's been data breaches. There's a lot of venom, a lot of demonizing. You know, it's a rough platform anymore. I've noticed that the traffic on some of the groups that I belong to on Facebook have gone way down. You know, I belong to a Goldwing group, a Frugal Filmmaking group, and a couple others, and it's just the last, I don't know, 4 months or so, the traffic on them has just gone down. I'd kind of like to know what you feel on it. Is it like headed towards that MySpace thing where it's just going away eventually? Okay, then the next thing I would like to talk about is the YouTube ads. You know, I've already spoke about how out of touch the YouTube Rewind was for 2018, but I caught this gem of an ad. Okay, I don't have anything against you if you're using ad blockers, but for Google and YouTube to serve up an ad, advertising ad blockers, I think is just counterproductive for all of the creators out there, because those of us that are monetized, you know, I'm serving up an ad that's going to ultimately hurt me. You know, I just think that is another illustration of how out of touch YouTube is. I mean, take a look at their trending page, for example. The PewDiePie Rewind, for example, is nowhere to be found on that thing. At least not on my trending page. I've looked and looked and looked. I've looked and checked every day. Here's a video that has gotten like millions of views like within the first 2 days, and it's not even a blip on YouTube's radar. You know, something's not right there. You know, also, you know, does that say something about vlogs and motovlogging? Are these things going away? I mean, how many vloggers out there are really successful at this point? Do you think YouTube's appetite for motovlogs and vlogging in general has kind of gone away? What I see in 2019 is streaming making a huge impact on the platform. I've already seen it with like Linus Tech Tips. You know, he has his super chats, and I think those probably get more traffic and more viewership than the, you know, just vlog style content that, you know, we've put out. So is that going to be a thing, and more of a thing in 2019? It's already a thing, but is it going to be more of a thing in 2019 where your big YouTubers or anybody who's striding to be a big YouTuber ends up having to do live streaming? And how many of you guys watch ad streaming? 2018 was just a rough year on creators anyway, and in general. You know, start out with the adpocalypse. You know, then we had all the controversies with Logan Paul and PewDiePie, and you know, it kind of got kind of dicey there for a while, and a lot of advertisers pulled out, and a lot of us were demonetized, and a lot of us lost our YouTube Adsense. Because we didn't have that 1,000 subscriber thing with, you know, so many hours of content. I made it 4 months later again. I was already a partner. I've been a partner for years. I've been an AdSense partner. I don't make much off of it. I mean, I spend way more on camera gear and stuff than, and even just like, well, that big tracks up there, the replacement big tracks to get the first one running, probably took, probably about half of my AdSense money for the year. So that kind of gives you an idea. You know, it definitely didn't pay for the new SSD in the MacBook that I needed desperately. Paid for, you know, if I took all the AdSense money, it would have paid for it, but, you know. Anyway, it gives you an idea of what small creators actually earn. And it's not really a matter of the money at that point. It's more of a matter of pride to say, hey, you know, I do make a little off YouTube. And then the next thing that's coming up in 2019 is, of course, Article 13. This is going to have a big impact on all of us because your content's not going to be viewable chances are, if you use anything that's even remotely tied to a brand or a copyright of some sort, your content might not be available in the European Union. And I really hope that that bad law is, struck down. It's going to change the face of YouTube, because not only, a lot of European creators are going to have problems uploading content. If they're even allowed to upload content, it might come to the point where only corporate partners are allowed to upload content in, the European Union. And that's kind of a scary thought. Because the same thing could happen here. Same thing could happen in any country in the world. And it needs to be stomped out. It really does. It's bad policy, bad law. So what are your thoughts? What do you think of all of this going down? And then the final one is the drone laws. I haven't been flying my drone. I haven't done any drone footage. I've pretty much grounded it for the last month or so. A lot of it is I need to do some work to it. I need to put some money into it. But I don't want to do that until I know how the new regulations fall out for recreational drones, and how my drone is going to fall into that, because of course mine's not used solely for recreational purposes. I use it for YouTube videos. So how am I going to be affected on that? Am I going to have to take I'm going to have to take a test if I want to continue to fly. But how far do I go with that? Do I go and get the full-on commercial license and then I can do it for hire? Do I just get, licensed well enough to where I can just fly it, sport fly it? I didn't get into drones for sport flying. I got into them because I thought it'd be a cool way to bring different footage in. I have been real responsible with it most of the time. I always fly under 400 feet. I always fly line of sight. The one thing where I could get into trouble, and the one thing where I have done things that I shouldn't, is I have flown a couple times at night. And that's kind of a no-no, because you're supposed to, it's a dawn to dusk sort of thing. But I've been careful where I fly. I've been careful. Of course, then there's other things where I've kind of bent the rules a little bit. I've dropped stuff off of my drone. That's not legal. The FAA have a problem with me dropping water balloons off of it, or Nerf darts, or spiders, as I did one time.